Hey guys, welcome back to my devlog series. I'm Brandon, and we last left off with these two annoying errors. Generally something pretty bad is going on if you've got these red errors, so I usually drop everything I'm doing to get those fixed up right away whenever I see them. This was a case of I realized that I was trying to close the submenus from two different scripts, which was causing those errors. It's a newbie mistake, but that's all fixed up now. Next up, more UI. I knew this would be an issue before I even started, but there's not much point in having a spell select menu if you have no idea what it is that you're selecting. So I've got to get some icons in there. The issue I was having is that each one of my radial menus, it's just a circle sprite chopped up into a certain number of pieces and rotated to basically make it look like it's a perfectly flowing circle, just chopped up, right? I did it this way because apparently using GIMP or Photoshop, it's way more difficult than it actually sounds. At least I was never able to find an easy way to do it. Now, because the menu is rotated, that essentially means that any child objects, and in this case that means my icons, they'll also be rotated by default. And it took me a long time to figure out how to actually properly fix this. I didn't want to manually do it myself in case I made a lot of changes to how this works. So I wanted it handled by code. And my solution in the end was to attach a small script to each icon and have them rotate back based on the rotation of the radial menu. So if this piece right here is rotated 90 degrees, then the icon will rotate minus 90 degrees, so it's facing up. Another day, another problem solved. Found something new to fix. Kinda thought my character movement was already good, but when the mouse gets too close to his feet... Yep. So I was actually feeling pretty ingenious for figuring out how to fix this on my first try. If it didn't work, then I had no idea what to do. But I added the character to his own separate layer and made the ray trace that rotates him towards the mouse pointer ignore that layer, and that fixed it. Also, when I created his animation in Blender, his walking was supposed to include this slight bouncing with his hat. But I imported him into Unity wrong and got that all fixed up now as well. Okay, so watch this. Are you watching? Keep this burned in your mind. Certainly burned in mine, because what I did here, I thought I was being clever. I'm adding a small script to the menu icons so that it doesn't matter what I do in Unity. The active states of these, they'll be controlled through code. Because you're not going to start the game with all the spells equipped, obviously. You're going to have to explore the world and find them. But what I did here caused me a huge headache later on. Next, time to beef up the camera a little bit, because walking around in the world looks pretty boring right now. First, I added a smoothing effect so that it didn't look like the camera was just glued to the character. So you can see that it's working, but it's caused a new problem. The character's all jittery now, and in doing some research, I realized that this was a much more complex issue than I ever could have imagined. As of the time of this edit, it's still not perfect, but it is much better now. The character is butter smooth again, but the background objects have a slight jitter to them. My spidey senses are telling me that this is one of those things that's going to take me hours to fix. So I'm going to move on and actually, make a game before I start making sure that everything is perfectly polished. I did try removing the smoothing motion, and that does seem to have helped, but I'm definitely going to circle back to this once I have something playable to make sure that this is all nice and butter smooth again. Have you guys ever played Enter the Gungeon? Well, I haven't, but seriously, it's on my list of things to do, but I have enough trouble slotting in the time to make a game, let alone to play games. But in Enter the Gungeon, the camera slightly follows the mouse position, which I thought was really clever, and it just makes everything much more lively and responsive, at least from what I've seen on the YouTube videos of the game anyways. My game is going to be very combat focused, so I think that's something that'll really work well for my game. And nope. Oh geez. Nope. Nope. Nailed it. First try, boys. I'll tweak those values to make sure they feel right once I've got some actual combat going on. All right. And a little more work on the UI now. And the reason I'm spending so much time on this stupid menu, the idea here is that you're going to be switching spells a lot, at least I hope. You're going to be switching spells a lot during gameplay. So I really need this to feel fleshed out and look right. Different enemy types are going to require different approaches from the player. So this really needs to feel fleshed out and feel really good. And the idea is time is going to be slowed when the menu is open, but it's not going to stop completely. So you'll be switching spells a lot mid-fight, but you can still get damaged. And it makes me wonder if players will kind of use that to their advantage to give themselves an edge, and makes me wonder if I should change that or let them do it. I don't know. Maybe it'll play out differently than what I'm seeing in my head. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I don't know yet. But anyways, I coded in the exact opposite of what I wanted. You kind of get on a roll sometimes and lose sight of what you were going for initially, but I made it so you can't move at all when the menu is open, and then promptly realized what I had done and reversed that. Oh, and I added that gray overlay onto the screen, just kind of makes the menu stand out a little more and actually look like a menu. And I got the time scaled down properly when the menu is open, so that's all working as intended now. So I know. I've been procrastinating my spell system again. Time to get to work on that. So I think a good first step is to make sure that when you pick up a new spell, the icon gets added into the spell menu. And this took me a stupidly long time to figure out how to do. I researched and I wanted to figure out like exactly how a real coder would go about doing this, and I think I kind of need to stop doing that because it just ended up being a time suck. I didn't really learn anything. This whole process of coding and everything, it's a whole learning process for me, and eventually I came up with my own method that works fine now, and you can see it working here. At least I thought it was working at first, at the time that you're seeing this. But then, yeah, and thus begins my nightmare. So yeah, I thought it was working initially, but unless I opened my menu first, then the first icon would always get skipped whenever you picked up the item. You know, it didn't take me that long to fix.
10 hours. It took him 10 freaking hours.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Thanks for that. So yeah, I tried everything. Honestly, this kept me up at night for a few days until I got it figured out. I even built a whole new scene just to test out my code in here, and I kind of added layer on layer on top of it to make sure that it duplicated my game, and it all worked fine in there. But remember earlier, I told you to remember that stupid code that I wrote? Yeah, that was the problem. So I obliterated that code, and I hope it burns in the fiery pits of hell for all eternity. And now it's working as intended. Finally. There's a fantastic YouTuber and game developer called Thomas Brush, and I'll put his channel in a link in the description below. But I think it was him who said, document your game. Even if you're working alone, document how all your processes work, because you make something now and a year down the road, you're not going to remember how it all works. And I think that's something I need to start doing, because if I had been doing that, then I likely would not have come up with this issue at all. And after that traumatic experience, I took a break for a few days to level up my modeling skills in Blender. I followed a fantastic tutorial by Blender Guru, and I'll put a link to that below as well. Seriously, if you want to learn 3D modeling, you need to go to this guy's channel. But yeah, just for fun, I made an anvil, and I could have made the shape myself. I'm okay in Blender, but I learned a lot from this tutorial series about flow, and how to fix some issues. Like, see that crease right there? I wouldn't have known how to fix that before. But yeah, I modeled it out, got a little better at UV unwrapping in the process, and I sculpted for the very first time. Had some fun with that for a bit. Baked the detail onto a normal map so I could have all the nicks and cuts and scrapes and all that detail onto the low poly model, and got my final render, which is now my desktop background. Seriously, the fan on my computer was going turbo speed at this part, trying to render this image and record this video. And by the way, Blender Guru in his Anvil tutorial series, he took this way further than I did and ends up with this gorgeous photorealistic result. It's ridiculous. I only followed half of the series because I was really only interested in the modeling part and the sculpting part. But yeah, I'm still pretty happy with how this turned out. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I think I've run out of ways to procrastinate my spell system any further, so I will definitely be working on that next. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.